The Sun Fever matchup turned into a full-fledged circus with 6 technical fouls, 3 ejections, and 2 flagrants in one crazy night. However, in the midst of all of that chaos, there was one explosive moment that had the internet picking sides and throwing popcorn. Marina Mabrey took a blatant cheap shot at Caitlin Clark, pushing her to the ground out of the blue and somehow escaping with it, while Sophie Cunningham got... The night after WNBA Fight Night, Sophie Cunningham put JCS Sheldon in a clinch. Marina Mabrey targeted Caitlin Clark. If you were already incensed, wait until you hear how Marina Mabrey responded to the incident. Do you think the league should strictly enforce its rules and suspend Mabrey? Let's go. Oh, and Marina Mabrey will be ejected if the officials noticed that after everything was over, the league surreptitiously decided to reclassify Marina Mabrey foul as a flagrant 2 without a press release or dramatic announcement, just a quiet update tucked into the league's site. The big question now is how the referees missed it in real time and why it took such a wave of outrage for the referees to notice it. And Mabrey's not going to be ejected, so they're going to go and look at it. All they had to do was eject her, and none of this would have happened if the referees had ejected Marina Mabrey. League to respond, but more significantly, will Mabrey be suspended, as commentators strongly suggested she should during the broadcast? For example, 4 players were fined in that game, but the referee's report was the most frightening aspect of it all because they stated, the contact made by Mabrey did not rise to the level of rejection. Additionally, it did not meet the criteria for a flagrant 2 penalty. Additionally, it was awarded a technical foul, not even a penalty. A lot of it revolves around the final 46 seconds when Sophie Cunningham hard fouls JCS Sheldon and she is ejected. Jossie is also ejected, and even the broadcasters at the time said if they would have just ejected Marina Mabrey, this probably wouldn't have happened. Stay awake. We'll go into the specifics of how and why the WNBA overruled its own officiating crew and whether that fix actually helped or just made things worse. The crowd and commentators both erupted instantly, anticipating a flagrant 2 or even a fast-track ejection. But Marina Mabrey walked away with a basic technical, and the game continued as if nothing had happened. Let's call it what it was. A full-speed blindside hit. Caitlin Clark didn't even see it coming. She was just playing the game with her head turned, and then bam, ma-la-la-la-la-la-la, shot her to the ground. Caitlin Clark is stabbed in the eye, shocking the players and the enraged fans, who are completely losing it. Marina Mabrey doesn't even witness the incident, so she simply decides to clean Caitlin Clark out of it, and the referees simply say, nah, it was not worth an injection. Caitlin dribbles, and notice how far away she is from the ball. She's literally nowhere near the ball, so she just jumps at her face, and then she belly bumps Caitlin, retaliating by pushing in an unsportsmanlike manner, the referee said, and then Marina appeared out of nowhere. Within minutes, the video went viral on social media, with people asking how she was still playing and what the referees were even looking at. It wasn't just Clark fans, though. Neutral observers, former players, and analysts were all pointing out how the officials were losing control of the game. The situation only got worse when you saw the other calls, such as when Sophie Cunningham was thrown on the spot for a hard play that wasn't nearly as good as what Mabrey did. From this angle, you can see how far away JC Sheldon is from the ball. If you're looking at my cursor, I apologize for not being able to enlarge it, but she hits Caitlin Clark in the face. The ball is 3 feet away from Caitlin Clark's face, and she just targets it like this. I'm not sure if there's another way to put it. The whole thing screamed uneven enforcement of the rules. I don't see how you can say it any other way. She literally lunged at her face, and then Caitlin's there walking away and on. She went nowhere near the ball, and she lunged forward with absolutely zero doubts about it, lunges at Caitlin Clark's face. The inconsistencies were impossible to ignore. Sophie was immediately dismissed. while Mabrey stayed behind after what was obviously a more reckless and dangerous foul. J.C. Sheldon is the one who makes contact, followed by the chaser and Marina, who may appear out of nowhere. People kept asking, are the referees just spinning a wheel before each whistle? Because if the same standards were applied across the board, there would be no way for Caitlin Clark to move J.C.S. Sheldon. If you look at this angle, you can see that she belly bumps her. She ended up saying that Marina Mabrey technical from last night's Fever Sun game had been upgraded to a flagrant 2, even though the league told ESPN that a flagrant 2 comes from a standard fine. Additionally, Sophie Cunningham was fined separately for her hard foul with 46 seconds to play. Yes, they came out later and said, actually, we've upgraded it to a flagrant 2, which, let's be real, is basically them saying, oops. Mabrey should have been permitted to continue playing, but the WNBA's damage control kicked in at the final buzzer. Our referees were terrible. The league is calling for Sophie Cunningham's objection from the officiating crew, and people are commenting under Marina Mabrey stuff. The league claimed that Mabrey's shove met the definition of excessive and unnecessary force, which is cool, but why wasn't it that obvious in the moment the refs had a front row seat? No. Had they made that call live during the game, Mabrey would have been ejected without any discussion. Blind spots. Anyone watching with one eye closed could see that it went too far. Which raises a bigger question. Is the WNBA dealing with a full-blown officiating crisis, or is there just one bad call? It's kind of annoying to see the hypocrisy everywhere when it comes to Indiana Fever, because I keep seeing the same people saying the same things in the media and on social media, which shouldn't really count, but these are influencing people in the mainstream media to say it. It wasn't just that moment. Let's not forget that Caitlin Clark herself received a technical for reacting after someone clawed her in the eye, and Sophie Cunningham was fined and flagged for a play that didn't look half as vicious as Marina Mabrey. It felt like it came from a different rule book if me had been tossed when she should have been the goal. The league was a physical league last season, and Sophie should be ejected, and her spot should be taken into consideration in the league. Instead, we had this patchwork corrected long after the damage was done, so the tone of the game would have been completely different. Now, you're thinking, oh, it should have been a flagrant 2. Oh, we should have. After the game is over, everyone is wondering the same thing. How can players and fans trust what's happening on the floor when the smoke is being caught? Look, you're catching the smoke and now you want to change it. You need to do it during the game. Okay, during the game, go ahead and call it the way it is, man. To put it bluntly, who was really to blame for this mess? The referees in the heat of the moment, or the league that stepped in only after the uproar? All eyes immediately turned to referee Ashley Gloss, who explained that Marina Mabrey's shove didn't meet the bar after the final buzzer. The rules seemed to change minute by minute, and the gap between what officials do live and what the league does after review is only getting wider. The worst part is that the officials and the league can't even seem to agree on what is worthy of a flagrant. For a flagrant 2 or an ejection, which is why Mabrey left the game with only a technical foul and continued to play. Gloss was firm live, but it didn't reach the threshold, and Mabrey's contact didn't qualify as an injection or a flagrant foul penalty either. However, less than 24 hours later, the WNBA silently overruled its own official crew, raising the penalty to a flagrant as well. That flip-flop speaks volumes. It's not just a correction, it's a public contradiction, and now the question reverberates. How does a play go? Yeah, it was a flagrant 2, he said, going from not deserving of the boot to expulsion-level aggression in a matter of hours. Videos went viral on social media right away with comments like, what do these referees even see? The entire league was being scrutinized, not just Gloss's team. Are the WNBA doing as it claims to be, or are they manipulating judgments in response to public outcry? Are we witnessing a split in judgment? The referees need some education, man. I had these referees out here who had no idea what was going on, and I was wondering why it was taking him so long to make the right call. I promise you, man, that we lived 2 lifetimes before they returned and said what they needed to say about the nonsense that happened. The game itself was already a powder keg with 6 technical, 3 ejections, and a tornado of hard fouls. But the odd thing was the technical flag on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was flagged for unsportsmanlike behavior after reflexively reacting to J.C. Sheldon's eye poke and dead ball bump. When asked why she received a technical foul, she eventually returned and said, after Sheldon's foul, Clark reacted in an unsportsmanlike manner toward Sheldon. How? How does that even compare to a deliberate blindside shove? Then there's Sophie Cunningham's ejection, a perfectly timed hard foul that was flagged live and confirmed with an additional fine afterwards, while Mabrey's more flagrant infraction was downgraded. Prevented all of this, but they decided not to. And let's not forget the court trust issue. If rash calls are allowed in real time only to be drastically improved later, what do coaches, players, and fans even believe in anymore? How do you explain to teams that react to a play in real time when the rules seem to change after the fact? That not only undermines confidence in officiating, but it also sends the message that accountability is optional, reactive, and dependent on social media outrage. In addition, players like Caitlin Clark and Sophie suffer psychologically